As I mentioned earlier, the idea of a typical IT department is starting to fade. But we can still think about the key roles within IT as being grouped up into these things called silos. Now, these silos either directly drive the business through the use of technology or in some way have great influence over the business in terms of meeting its objectives. The departments or silos typically are separated as follows within IT. Firstly, we have this thing called IT strategy. When we speak about roles in IT strategy, we're speaking about those people who can lay down high-level plans and roadmaps that will allow the use of technology to meet the ongoing objectives of a business. Now, these include roles such as the C-level IT professionals. And what we're talking about here are CIO and CTO. That's Chief Information Officer and Chief Technology Officer. These are roles that may have had considerable IT experience in the past, but are now much more the thought leaders in terms of how to technically lay down the blueprints for the high-level plans that need to be implemented. These generally won't be hands-on now, but they will be at the top of the intellectual tree in terms of knowing which technologies to use and why. Some of these role titles will often have terms such as architect within strategy, but they can include terms such as lead design authority, technical design authority, and even more colorful terms such as evangelist. So along with the CIO and CTO, we will see roles here such as enterprise architect, solutions architect, and technical architect. To find out more about architects, head on over to that specific module on the platform and you can take a deep dive into those roles. Next, within IT, there is a department called Projects and Change. Now, clearly the more senior roles in this group will also be interacting with those strategy people too. So in this department, there's a group of professionals who are specifically charged with creating projects and programs that will bring about the activities for change. These people will have excellent management skills rather than an onus on the technical prowess. And they will be all about people, communication, and using the tools and techniques that can effectively coordinate your resources. These resources can be money, time, and talent, and they'll use those to bring about change. These individuals will also know which methodologies and approaches are best suited for the situation. They'll know whether to create a culture that is much more structured and project-like or much more fluid, such as Agile or DevOps. The players and roles within this area are stakeholders and steering committees, which you obviously won't be recruiting for, but you will be asked to look for product owners, program managers, project managers, the PMO, business analysts. So all of these fall within the projects silo. Once again, this is just a brief overview, so head on over to the Projects and Change section of the platform and you can find out all you need to know about the roles in much more detail. At this point, I want to introduce you to a term that all the people that I've just mentioned will be aware of. And though there may not be in place a specific person or a team taking care of this, all of the roles that I've just mentioned will be aware of the idea of IT governance in large organizations. And certainly within specific sectors, there could be an entire team or department focused on the area of IT governance. So what exactly is governance? Many businesses that operate in highly regulated sectors, such as medicine, pharmaceutical, finance, and the travel industry, well, they will need to comply with a number of standards in terms of the way they use IT. The way they create and release IT systems into those industries is actually stipulated by an external body in some way. These rules and standards can cover a wide variety of issues, from the protection of confidential information, how you use and store data generally, what contingencies you have in place in terms of disaster recovery, and how you cover areas of financial accountability. So IT governance within a company ensures that you are following a set of guidelines or a framework that ensures that you meet relevant regulatory and legal obligations. One such regulation, which you'll be personally aware of in your life, is GDPR, for example. There are many structured frameworks already in place for those companies who wish to follow a structured approach to governance. These will come up on job specs and CVs, and these include COBIT, which is a suite of globally accepted practices, tools, and models designed for governance of enterprise IT. You'll undoubtedly see ITIL. This focuses on IT service management and ensures that the IT services within an organization best support core practices and processes for the business. CMMI is another one, and this is the Capability Maturity Model Integration method. And it's designed to improve IT performance across the board within a business. You may also see FAIR, Factor Analysis and Information Risk. And this is designed to help an organization quantify and manage risk. And it focuses on factors such as cybersecurity and operational risk, so that the business can make the best decisions having weighed up all the risk factors. CIO and enterprise architect level people will be best suited to making a decision as to which particular framework to opt for any particular business environment. Now let's talk about a division called Network Operations and Support. Operations is all about keeping every element within IT working and ticking over nicely. This department is really not about being creative in the sense of designing innovative technological solutions to the problems of the business. You'll find no magical new applications popping out of here. This department manages and maintains the stuff that we already have at the moment. And this could be maintenance at all levels of our IT architecture, including looking after the infrastructure, ensuring that the operating system and application software is actually working as it should, and that we're all using the correct versions of software as users. This team looks after the network and all the assets that are relying on that network. They'll get involved in things like IT asset auditing and management. Today, they'll also be involved in the maintenance of communication and telephony. These are very service-oriented people who are in the background making sure that the whole thing is humming along nicely. And they'll also jump in when things go wrong. This will be the division within IT that has all the contingency plans in place should the worst happen. So here we have help desk, administration, and disaster recovery as well. Once again, we have an entire masterclass based around this. And these include roles such as network architects, network engineer, the network administrator, understanding first, second, and third line support, the systems administrator, and cybersecurity specialists. If you want to find out more about these roles, head on over to that particular module and dive in. Another very important silo within IT is called applications and web development. And of course, this is the department that comprises the software developers, web developers, and which is now increasingly merging with the ops department I've just mentioned in an environment known as DevOps. Once again, there is an entire module based around the whole DevOps paradigm, and we take a deep look into what DevOps is and how it's merging the two silos of operations and development together. Finally, here I want to mention a silo called the data team. Of course, this is a group of professionals within IT who are primarily concerned with data, the collating, storing, and managing of data on behalf of the business. Now, not all companies will have all of the roles that I'm going to mention. It generally depends on the scale and scope of their usage and reliance on data. But you'll come across roles such as the Chief Data Officer, a database architect, database administrator, database developer, and data warehouse specialists. Now, when the data flowing through a company increases beyond a certain level, it can be called big data. And then we get into a specific area of IT dealing with that level of data. These are roles which include data analyst, data scientist, and professionals involved in business intelligence. Once again, we have two separate huge masterclasses based around the whole data environment. So if you're specializing in database recruitment, head on over to that particular masterclass. But we also have a masterclass dedicated towards understanding all the areas of big data as well. So please head on over there and understand those. I hope those few lessons have given you a good understanding of the way the IT department is evolving as we go into the future. It is not really a static thing anymore, it's a much more fluid concept, and I hope this has given you an understanding of some of the key roles that you're likely to come across. Of course, the rest of the platform is dedicated to you understanding those in much more detail, so feel free to dive into all of those modules.